Welcome in. It's Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Osland. Good to be with you guys. Still talking low, trying to be respectful, be a good neighbor. Yep, that's really low, but I can still hear myself with this new headset, and I think we're in business. So I'm interested to see who joins the show today, as it's not like the Clippers in their draft lottery. It's not like the Clippers have a pick that's going to Oklahoma City, as many said, the Doomers. They're going to end up giving Cooper Flag to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Well, that didn't happen. It's not happening. Yeah, I think they're giving pick 22 to OKC in their pick swap. Clippers will have the 30th pick in the draft. How's the Turtle Beach, the headphones? You tell me. I like what I'm hearing on my end. Hi, Tim. Hi, Mio. Y2 Kenyon's in here. I mean, I listened to the last show and I thought it sounded pretty good, even though I was talking really low the entire time. That's all I wanted. Like I said, it's all about being respectful. It's all about respect, which usually isn't easy to get online. Alex is in here. Daniel, Elijah. Why not? Let's just get Giannis, Steph, and KD. What's the problem? I'm here for it. Yeah, I'm in a tank top. Whatever. D. Damari is in here. Mio said you sound fine. This was the goal. Find something where I could talk really low. You guys would still hear me clearly. I could still hear myself. Let's go. So, maybe you guys can hear my TV a little bit in the background. I know I can. We'll be monitoring the draft lottery. It's always an exciting time, regardless if you're involved. Bushan is asking about Austin. How about Austin Reaves? Because there's all these rumors that he could be traded from the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, I know you guys might hate him now because he's a Laker. You might not be a big fan of Austin Reaves, but if he was on your team, I think you might feel differently. I'm a big fan. I think Austin Reaves is the truth. I know he had a bad playoff series against Minnesota. For the most part in his career, though, he's been a playoff riser. He's just coming off a second half to the season where I want to say he was averaging an efficient 20 per game. And a lot of people are saying that the Lakers are going to shop him. Miles Johnson's in here. Still not over game 7, guys. I'm with you. Adam Osland for first round picks. I'll make the sacrifice. If you guys got to trade me for the Clippers to get first round picks, I'm fine with that. David's in here. Giannis and Kupo and Kevin Durant and Damian Lillard to the Clippers. Sure. Make it happen. Fire up the trade machine. Let me see how you do that. Who I think is getting number 1? The Jazz. Alex Webb said, go through the In-N-Out drive-through again. I'm trying to eat better. Not that there's anything wrong with In-N-Out. Elijah said, for real though, do you think we'd be able to steal a Jonathan Kuminga? He's a restricted free agent. The only way they'd have the money to go after him is if James Harden did not come back to the Clippers. He has a player option for $35 million. He could opt out, become a free agent. The Clippers could still re-sign him after that. I think that's the most likely scenario. They give him 2 years, 80 million, 2 years, 90 million, something like that. So he's making 45 annually the next 2 years. But if James Harden didn't come back, all of a sudden that opens up $35 million for you. I think that's unlikely to happen, but it's possible. Austin Reaves did struggle in that playoff series. He had not struggled in the playoffs before. He had actually been really good. In fact, you look at his playoff game log, he has a slew of 20-point games in there from his first couple of years in the league in the playoffs, going back to 2023. That was his first year in the playoffs. Remember the game he had at Memphis where he said, "I'm him"? He dropped 23 points. He has had since then, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's had since then 9 instances where he's had 20 or more in a playoff game, including one game, even against Minnesota, in a series he struggled in. He has started 26 games in the playoffs so far. He's had some big playoff performances, guys. That's why I think he has somewhat of a chance to be moved. Right now, his stock is a little bit lower. I don't think it should be, considering where he's at. So the 14th pick goes to San Antonio, 13th goes to Atlanta, 12th goes to the Chicago Bulls, 11th goes to the Portland Trailblazers. I'm going to turn it up a little bit here, guys. Pick number 10, the Houston Rockets. Hakeem Olajuwon in the building. So one of those times where you don't want your name called. 9th pick goes to the Toronto Raptors. So the Spurs have another pick. Ooh, the Spurs have another pick in the top 4 now. Brooklyn is 8th. 7th is New Orleans. Does Brooklyn have another pick? I'm guessing they do. 6th is the Wizards. That's what I thought. Philly has a top 4 pick now. They're holding on to their pick. If it was top 6 protected. That's big. Ooh. Utah ends up 5th. So, guys, it's between Dallas, San Antonio, Philly, and the Charlotte Hornets for Cooper Flag. Wow. There are 3 teams there. Daryl Morey, this showed a picture of him. He's dealing with a lot of nerves right now. There are 3 teams there that can make things really interesting. 3 teams that you would say aren't that far away. And if they get Cooper Flag to Philly or to Dallas or to San Antonio, Dallas about to get bailed out after the Luka trade. They're going to end up with getting Cooper Flag. That would be wild. Yeah, this is very exciting. New Jurassic Park commercial. I'm kind of intrigued. I can't help myself. I hated the Jurassic World ones. This is Jurassic World Rebirth, but it's a different director. PG-13. Some said it may be the first rated R Jurassic Park. It's not. I'm out. My excitement's gone. Yeah, I guess if you're a Clippers fan, Mio, you're hoping the number one pick in Cooper Flag ends up going to the Charlotte Hornets. For more reasons than just keeping him away from Philly, if you want to continue to hate watch what's going on in Philadelphia with Paul George there, for more reasons than just not wanting him in the Western Conference with San Antonio or Dallas. But I think the main reason you might want Cooper Flag in Charlotte is because if they have him, do they at some point go away from LaMelo Ball, who I think led the league in shot attempts per game this year, and they build around Cooper Flag and Brandon Miller, and therefore they might be more open to dealing LaMelo Ball? Not trying to galaxy brain this too much, but we not haters over here, said D. Damari. You know, when it comes to Paul George, I've seen otherwise in here. What's up, Jimmy Williams? I've been thinking about this for a bit with Charlotte. At what point LaMelo's been hurt? He dominates your offense. At what point do they say he doesn't fit their timeline anymore because they've been in this perpetual rebuild? If they got Cooper Flag, I think that could change things for LaMelo Ball's future with Charlotte. Mio saying he loves to hate watch the Philadelphia 76ers. Man, they got into the top 6. Yeah, when they first said this means they were out of it, I was like, that's not true. They had to make a correction there. Whoever was broadcasting this for ESPN, forgot who said it. This is interesting. If the Dallas Mavericks end up with Cooper Flag, maybe they'll find a way to screw that up too and trade the pick or not take him. You know, it's Nico Harrison. You never know. J-Dog's up in here. D. Damari said LaMelo Ball is injury prone, but he does a lot of the Hornets. I'm not against having him. The Clippers are really in a situation where they have to be opportunistic and see what star could be wanting to leave next year or the year after. They don't have enough of the assets, spoiler alert, to compete for Giannis. The only way they even have a remote chance at getting Giannis Antetokounmpo is if he said, if Giannis went, okay, I'm only willing to go to LA, so therefore it scares other teams away from trading for him. But he's under contract for 2 more years, so I think other teams still would. So, Sixers table has Nick Nurse, Elton Brand, our old friend, Daryl Morey's there. It's between Charlotte, the 76ers, San Antonio Spurs, and Dallas Mavericks. This is juicy. If the Spurs end up with Cooper Flag, oh boy. How the West was won. Their window, their 10-year window with Wemby is extended. All right. The 4th pick goes to the Charlotte Hornets. Got the 4th pick. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, that doesn't help. The 3rd pick goes to Philly. Okay, they're not getting Cooper Flag. It's San Antonio or Dallas. The 2nd pick, the Dallas Mavericks just got the number 1 pick in the draft. They're getting Cooper Flag. Oh my goodness. 2nd went to San Antonio. The Dallas Mavericks lucked into getting Cooper Flag. Now, if they just had a GM, they had a 1.8% chance. Cue up the conspiracies. Wow. They had a 1.8% chance. The fourth toughest odds to ever get the number one pick. The Magic in 93, then the Cavs in 2014, the Bulls, and now the Dallas Mavericks pulled it off. First of all, the conspiracy stuff needs to stop, because if you guys have ever watched the draft process, being able to rig that thing. So Orlando Blackman was their representative there. Dallas Maverick fans feeling good for the first time since Luka was traded. Holy crap. If you guys watch the draft video of how the ping pong balls go and the different number combinations, being able to rig that this is not David Stern reaching in and grabbing a frozen envelope anymore. The NBA knows drama. There's a 0% chance it was rigged. This wasn't them doing the Dallas Mavericks a favor because they gave Luka to the Lakers. That's not what this is. I'm telling you guys. They still got Kyrie coming off an ACL, Anthony Davis and his injury concerns. I don't know if we can say they're a contender next season. I know Nico Harrison has been saying that. Ooh, the Charlotte Hornets gained the fourth pick, though. That did not help that LaMelo Ball conversation we just had. Ouch. Crazy stupid luck, says Renee. Ralph said, poor Charlotte. They might as well just fold the franchise, call it quits. Those beautiful uniforms. They got to keep going for Muggsy and LJ and Alonzo Mourning and J.R. Reed and Steph's dad. Maybe they'll trade Kyrie. Maybe. What type of value does he have coming off an ACL at what, the age of 31 or 32? He's 33. He'll be 34 by the end of next year. Watch how they do the ping pong balls and the number combination behind the scenes, guys, and then tell me how they'd be able to rig this. Also, all the people who are in the room, people like Zach Lowe, they just pay all these people off. I really think they'd be able to do that and somebody wouldn't squeal. Yeah, I mean, Nico still actually has to make the right draft pick. This is somebody that could end up talking himself into somebody else that isn't Cooper Flag. Tim A already saying Flag to the Lakers in 6 to 7 years, going to be real fun. We already have hashtag future Laker for Cooper Flag. Guys, I'm telling you, you got to understand. Watch, and maybe I can find a video of the draft process. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll post it up here. It's too impossible to rig now. It's not the way it used to be. I think I have a couple of videos here. They eventually, I think, released the video of the ping pong balls and what happened behind the scenes. Man, Dallas Mavericks fans are ecstatic, happy again. And a good explanation of just how they do it. Let me see here. Is this going to help us or hurt us?
span of 4 years. What are the odds? Now remember, these are just the current rules. Next year in 2019, things are going to be a little different. The league recently announced that they would be updating the odds in the draft lottery to bring more parity to the league and help make things feel a little more competitive. So no longer will the team with the least amount of wins solely hold the best odds at the #1 spot.
This was to curb tanking. Yeah, it's combinations of numbers. So it's not just one ball with your logo on it anymore. Like, it's highly complex.
Updated odds awards the bottom 3 teams with equal odds at 14% a pop. But again,
this is a video from 6 years ago from the official NBA YouTube with a young man trying to make it hip and cool. Yeah, they did flatten out some of the odds here.
These updated odds won't be in effect until 2019, so you won't have to worry about them until next year. Now, teams do have a right to use their picks in trades, and once a team trades their pick to another team, that pick will be determined by the original team's record, not by the record of the team who receives the pick. And that's why you see teams like the Boston Celtics and...
Let me see if I can find a different video. That's pretty annoying. Thank you, Coda Bear. I gotta get back to your email, by the way. I appreciate you hitting me up. I will do that. I don't know if you could say Dallas is a contender with all their injury concerns, with Kyrie Irving still, with Anthony Davis, and Cooper Flag being a rookie. Going to be a good rookie, though. I mean, I expect his game to translate fairly quickly, but a rookie still nonetheless. Draft lottery process. Balls. That's what I put in. Draft lottery process, lottery balls. Let's see here. Okay. I think I may have what I was looking for, because it's just yeah. This is the complexity I was looking for with how they do it now, since everybody's going to be crying conspiracy theory because Dallas won. And that's really an oversimplification of what's happening.
Here are the actual ping pong balls. They come in this little briefcase. They're underlined to make it very clear which side is the right side up so that you don't get your 6 and 9 confused. Definitely helpful stuff. And there's 14 total ping pong balls. Each ball has its own numerical value between numbers 1 and 14. There are no repeats. So there's one ball that says number 1, there's one ball that says number 2, there's one ball that says number 3, so on and so forth, all the way through number 14. This is important for understanding the actual process when we get to that point. This is what the ping pong balls look like. This is how they're transported around, and obviously they are inspected beforehand to make sure that there's no duplicate numbers or anything crazy going on in the rigged, sometimes considered to be rigged, NBA draft lottery. So here we are with combinations, and this is the most important part of the entire video. There are 1,001 different combinations. One of those 1,001 is a null combination that has no representation for any NBA team. You might say, why do they do that? I don't really know why they do that. It might just be how the math came out with the number of
like a 00 on a roulette board.
Lottery ping pong balls that they have. I don't exactly understand why there's just one null combination. I'm going to be completely honest with you. But each team has combos of 4 numbers. They have more than just one combination. Only, again, remember, only the top 4 picks are done through the lottery. So the remainder are done by standings. This is where everything gets really important. Each team has multiple different combinations. 14.0% of 1,000 is 140 combinations. So when we talk about Detroit, who sits at number 1.
So, yeah, your best odds are 14%. And that's due to all those combinations, 140 of them.
14% chance they have 140 different combinations of the 1,000.
Obviously, this was last year's draft lottery.
That would give them the first overall pick. An example of what that combination might look like could be number 1, number 7, number 13, and number 5. If the balls are drawn in that order, then Detroit, in this hypothetical, would have the first pick. Let's say that last ball is a little bit different though. Let's say the first ball drawn is number 1, the second ball drawn is number 7, the third
See, it's multiple lottery balls that have to be drafted in the right order. How do you rig all that? It's
ball
just,
is number 13,
come on,
and the
man.
fourth ball is number 4 instead of number 5, then maybe that would be the Charlotte Hornets. Again, this is all hypothetical. I don't actually know what the real combinations are. The teams know what they are as they're sitting in there watching the actual drawing of the lottery. They know what numbers they're looking for. I don't have that information right now. We're way too early. The draft lottery's like a month away yet. But that is important to note. And let's say the example, instead of the first number being drawn as 1, maybe it's 6. And then you look at the other 3 numbers after, it's the same as that first example where we had the Pistons, but since the first number is different, this time it gave us the Spurs in our hypothetical. So it's important to remember that, to keep that in mind. I also want to point out that on the 2024 NBA draft odds table, Portland has a 13.3% chance at number 1. Charlotte has a 13.2% chance at number 1, and that is because they are actually tied. Those numbers should be shifted a little bit. Portland should be 14.0. And
So yeah, guys, good luck rigging this thing. Good luck. I'm sorry. The amount of it would have to be like CGI, like augmented reality, where everybody going into the room put on glasses and they weren't actual ping pong balls. Otherwise, it's far too complex. There's just no way.
nations, right? 14% of 1,000 is 140. Washington has 140 combinations. Portland has 133. Charlotte has 132. The Spurs have 105 combinations for the first overall pick. The Raptors have 90 combinations for the first overall pick. Then you look at a team like Memphis. They have 60. Memphis, has 75. Utah has 60. Brooklyn has 45. Remember, that pick would convey to Houston regardless. Then Atlanta has 30. Chicago has 20. Houston has 15.
All right, let's look at the process.
So here's the actual process, and this is one of my favorite things to talk about in this video. There are 14 balls. Remember, we talked about that earlier. All of them get placed into the lottery machine. The balls are then mixed for exactly 20 seconds, and an independent timekeeper signals for a ball to be drawn. There is someone operating the lottery machine and someone else who is keeping time to try and, I guess, push back against the possibility of, rigging the lottery per se. At that 20-second mark, ball number 1 is drawn. Then there are 10 more seconds of mixing. Then ball number 2 is drawn. Add 10 more seconds of mixing, ball number 3 is drawn. 10 more seconds of mixing after number 3, then you get ball number 4. Remember, there are combinations of 4. So after the 4th ball is drawn, you are at a spot then where you can check the combinations, and this combination would reward pick number 1 to whatever team had that combination. So for example, if the combination is 2, 3, 6, and 12, that would award a team. A few years ago, that happened to be the Cleveland Cavaliers, who were awarded the number 1 overall pick, which I believe ended up being Kyrie Irving. Number 11, if the null combination is drawn, though, you would repeat the entire process. So if a null combination is drawn, you throw those balls back in, start mixing them again, and restart from step number 1. For step number
the fact that you can have a null combination kind of tells you how foolproof this thing is. If you want to keep your tinfoil hat on, by all means, go ahead. I'm not buying it. It's not happening. You're not going to be able to rig this thing. That guy is a Mavs fan. I don't even know what channel that was. I already brought it down. Jimmy, thank you so much for the super chat. We made it 213 straight days here on Clippers Talk. Man, Dallas could trade the number 1 pick. I don't think you'd need to for KD. I would go another route to get him. For Giannis, maybe. Mio said Spurs going to have some roster decisions to make, so they got the number 2 pick. They could also trade that to San Antonio. Jonathan Ing said too many instances where weird stuff happened with the draft lottery. AD gets traded to the Lakers and the Pelicans get the number 1 pick. Also, again, I just showed you the process. Like, unless you can actually get past how you'd be able to rig that, like, just stop. It's so overly simplistic to just act like, oh yeah, that would be an easy thing to rig. Again, it's not lottery balls with the logo of a team on there. That's what we used to see back in the day. That is not the case anymore. It's number combinations. And the teams with better odds have more combinations they can get. It's way too hard to rig. Some people just can't be convinced, no matter how logical they are, even Jonathan Ing. Like, first of all, why would Nico in the first place? What would the NBA offer him to just totally sell his soul and ruin his reputation for his entire life and likely be fired at some point for trading Luka? It was his decision. The NBA did not put a gun to his head to trade him to the Lakers. He had a relationship for years with Anthony Davis through Nike, with Rob Pelinka through Nike. There's old videos popping up. I just saw one earlier today with him back at the, I think this was with Team USA, sitting next to Kobe and AD from like 2014 or something. Like, that's all this is. It's not some big conspiracy. It's just one guy making a really bad decision. I don't believe in the whole big conspiracies. Just too many people that have to keep their mouth shut. Like, you talk about JFK, like, oh, the government. The same people that think the government is stupid all the time also will go the other direction conveniently and be like, the government did it. They're so smart. It's like, you also think they're idiots. Which one is it? I hate the conspiracy stuff. Back in the day, yeah, maybe there was a frozen envelope for Patrick Ewing because that would be a really easy thing to rig. That's possible. The number combination thing going on now? No, not possible. MKXLNT said, so what's new? Clippers versus everybody as usual? Yeah, pretty much. That's where we're at. Here we go. Another person. Dude, the chances. It's always a guy who starts with dude. Dude, the chances that they have the Luka trade this season to the Lakers and suddenly get the number 1 pick. You obviously don't know math or stats to know the chances of that, Dumbo. Okay. Again, tell me how. You just saw the process. How would you rig that machine with all those people in there to be able to pull that off to where the right number combination comes out? It's easy to cry conspiracy. It's a lot harder to actually point out how it would be done. Jonathan Ing said Nico's the luckiest guy right now because his window got open a little bit more. Yeah. Johnny626 said, just saw a meme with Adam Silver on the phone saying, go ahead and trade Luka. Nico, I'll give you Cooper Flag. I know. It's the simple thing to do. It's a lot harder to actually look at how the draft process is, like we just did, and then try to point flaws in it and say, this is how you could rig it. LT Senior said Adam is back. Ryan Garcia's in here laughing. It's just, come on, guys. I don't think the NBA needed Luka to be in LA for the Lakers to get more publicity. They get publicity regardless. They get publicity when they're bad. Like, they don't need Luka to be there. He was already in Dallas. Then the same guy who said to call me Dumbo said, who knows, man? It is what it is. All right. You sound like Brad Pitt in True Romance. Like you just did a bong rip and think you got to figure it out. I challenge you to show me how they could rig the draft process, which we just went through. Wait a minute, Dallas got the number one pick, and there's Donnie out of his element, who just found that out. Johnny said, "You have to admit, Adam, it is pretty damn funny and ironic that they won the first pick. LOL. God does have a sense of humor." Yeah. Not to mention all the times that small markets have won the draft, and these outlier things where somebody that had less than a 2% chance winning, it's only happened 4 or 5 times. What about all the other times where it went according to the odds? Like, come on. LT said, "I think the NBA needed the team with the largest market share to have a global name as the NBA shifts its game globally." Like, again, the Lakers, with their history, they're going to be watched no matter what. It actually would benefit. This is the same reasoning behind the Lakers and Warriors playing in the first round. Everybody said, "Oh, they're trying to make it so the Lakers and Warriors play in the first round." Why do they need to do that? Because whoever the Lakers are playing independently, they will be pulling ratings. Same with the Golden State Warriors. And then they could both win and play each other in the second round for the ultimate mega ratings, I guess. But it just doesn't make a lot of sense when you actually reason through it. Yes, it's happened. There have been the Orlando Magic in '93 was like 1.3%. Why did the NBA rig it for them? Why would they have done that? There's so many instances you can point to where like, why wouldn't they have rigged it for Boston to get Tim Duncan, guys? Why give it to San Antonio? Why wasn't that rigged for Boston? Right? Give the Boston Celtics Tim Duncan. Renee said, "What if Nico screws up the pick? It would certainly get him fired." Yeah, that's true. It would. No off-season job yet. If you got something for me, adamoslin@gmail.com. Hence why I'm here again tonight. I still got time. I got time today. So instead of going down the conspiracy theory road, which is so tired and played out and doesn't hold up to the actual draft process. Wait, did LeBron actually laugh at it on Twitter too? I think he did. Yes, he did. I mean, even players, I get it. You find this wild that the Dallas Mavericks ended up with the number one pick. It just doesn't hold water when you actually look at how the draft process goes. We just did that. Some are saying Giannis is going to be a Spur now. They're going to send the number 2 pick to Milwaukee. That's a distinct possibility. That could happen. I wouldn't be shocked by that. Some are saying there was a coin flip in the end. Is that true? Let's see. Law Murray is bringing up 2019 Pelicans win Zion Williamson draft lottery, trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers. 2025 Mavericks trade Luka Doncic to the Lakers, win Cooper Flag draft lottery. I get it. But I also don't. When you actually look at the draft process, all this conspiracy talk looks pretty fucking stupid. But why let the truth get in the way of a good story, right? That's how it works. Law's just pointing out why people would think this stuff. Yeah, see, why would they rig it for Orlando back in the day? for the catchy song they got. Jonathan Ingram said, doesn't matter what the process is, the optics just look terrible. So they should rig it to make sure Dallas doesn't get the first pick because they should be worried about the optics. What's going to happen? The draft police are going to come in and shut down the NBA. The optics look terrible. It's the NBA, like, they luck out because they get this more promotion, more storylines because of this. You're making them money by acting like there's some conspiracy theory going on. Yeah. It's just low level people who want to believe in this stuff. They'd rather believe in this than the truth. There's far more instances of teams that had the best odds winning and teams that had long shot odds that aren't blue bloods of the NBA winning. If you want to say Nico Harrison has a horseshoe wrapped in a 4-leaf clover up his ass, maybe. Again, a ton of people saying the same stupid thing about a draft conspiracy means nothing to me versus the actual draft process and how complicated it is. Maybe rewind again and then tell me how you could rig that. The 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 optics being bad, what, you think people are going to stop watching the NBA because of this? Like, this is going to push somebody over the edge. Oh, it's rigged. I'm not watching. What do the optics being bad, if that is the case, how does that negatively impact the NBA? Please explain it. Renee said, I saw a report that Giannis would accept a trade to a no state income tax. Yes, we all saw that. San Antonio could help him there. Maybe Miami Heat could help him. But San Antonio just makes too much sense. I don't know how they'd make that work with him and Wemby, but because Wemby can shoot, I guess it doesn't matter. It's like having somebody next to Chet, a big man like Hartenstein. And Giannis has turned into a better shooter in the mid range this past year. Yeah, they can make that work. If they're giving me the second pick and Stephon Castle and maybe something else, yeah, I'm probably doing that if I'm Milwaukee. Devin Vassell, another pick. San Antonio has many. They have 2 picks in this draft. So, yeah, there's a good chance they're getting Giannis. Again, well, I did label the video. What did I call this? Does a draft lottery and Giannis or Austin for the Clippers? Not saying 100%. Well, thanks for holding out that it might not be rigged and these things just happen sometimes. And again, should I play the video? Should I play the video of how the draft process actually goes, since you guys just think Adam Silver's in a back room smoking cigars with owners in the league and working deals or something for who deserves the number 1 pick most? It's just idiotic. I'm sorry. Maybe it's a pet peeve of mine. Mavericks could get Giannis. I don't know what their draft capital situation is moving forward, but let's say you give up Lively and the number 1 pick and something else. They could get Giannis too. Ray is saying something not too funny. I think the Clippers need Bronny to save them. They might never win without Bronny. Okay, Ray. This could be a timeout. It could be. How about we talk about what's the best trade package you could think of for Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Clippers? Now that we know there's 2 teams at the top of the draft that could easily make the move for him, How do you guys think they get it done? Oh, by the way, the Philadelphia 76ers have the third pick now, right? I don't think they could get Giannis, like trade the third pick at Embiid or something, get Giannis. I don't think. If I'm Giannis, though, I would want to stay in the East. But then again, I would want to play next to Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox. Bobby Portis is out there. I think he has a player option that he's likely to decline. I mean, should we just all move on from Giannis and start talking about Austin Reaves? I'm a fan. Problem is dealing with the Lakers. Who would you give up for Austin Reaves? Who would you be okay wearing the purple and gold and not wanting it to come back to haunt you? Like the Lakers are haunted by Ivica Zubac playing for the Clippers. You don't want to give them a piece that helps them win a championship. But if they don't see a good fit with Austin Reaves on this Lakers team, man, I'd love to find a way to pick him off because his contract's good. I know he's getting paid soon, but not yet. And given the money the Clippers are going to have to play with, getting him in-house before he gets paid would actually really benefit them because they'd have so much money to spend. That's not really an issue for them. The issue is getting guys there first with whatever you're giving up in the trade. Because it's so hard to just say, well, the Clippers are going to have $70 million in 2026 to play with. There'll be 70 million under the cap, possibly, or 120 million under the cap in 2027. It's like that's great, but the big free agent guys, or I should put it this way: the biggest guys in the NBA, the biggest superstars, don't end up going to free agency very often. What happened with Paul George is a rarity. That's because he was 34 and it made sense for the Clippers to let him go. Tuca to let him go and get under the luxury tax in the first apron because of it. That actually benefited them getting Batum, DJ, and Chris Dunn and more flexibility. It was worth it to let him go. And obviously it was the right move. Timothy said, I hope Clippers fans see that tanking don't mean you get the first pick. So did the Charlotte Hornets, the Washington Wizards had the best odds? Yeah, Washington, man, they're in a bad spot right now. You know who's really hurting? Washington Wizards fans. I think they ultimately had the best odds of getting him, right? Or they were tied because they were 18 and 64. Charlotte was 19 and 63. Tuca back. What we got here? I'll give them Ben Simmons and a middle finger for Austin Reaves. Harden for Austin Reaves. Austin doesn't make enough. You'd have to get something else back. Clips should try to get KD. How? What are you giving up in the trade package? I'm open to it right now. On a draft lottery night, where everybody's screaming conspiracy, I'm open to it. What else do we got here? Bulls fans, yeah, they lost a coin flip for the number one pick. Because that pick would have gone to Chicago. Okay, so that's rough too. I don't know who the number one guy is for next year, but Cooper Flagg was the consensus guy going back years. People were waiting for him to come out. What would the Clippers give up for Reaves? Norman Powell? Let me see what Reaves' contract is. It's team friendly, that's for sure. I think it's around like 15 million. Man, so Reeves this upcoming year is only making 14 million. Then as a player option in 2026 for 15 million that he'll no doubt opt out of. So the Lakers might be like, we're getting out in front of this. We're not going to give him the big payday in 2026, and maybe that's why there's some interest in moving him now. I think it would more be about fit though, and they just don't see it with Luka Doncic because those two on the floor together defensively are problematic. But I like him. He's a stud. Colin Sexton's value. I talked about him a lot at the trade deadline. I do have interest in Colin Sexton. I think problem though is positional size is something Lawrence Frank talks about, and he's a small guard, and he tries hard on the defensive end, but he has limitations because of his size. This is a good question from Robert. What do the Lakers need that the Clips would consider trading? What they need is Zubats, but they're not getting him back. I mean, they need front court help. Clippers don't have a lot to offer there. They don't. They could use Batum. I don't think we can give up Batum. I couldn't bear watching him in a Lakers jersey. That could help them. It's the appropriate question. Thank you, Alan. I don't know if I can start another streak. I don't know if I'm here for that. Others saying no trade. Here's the problem. Out of guys who could be available, what if Trae Young's just your best option? Not a perfect option. But again, the Clippers might be in a position where they're just waiting for a disgruntled superstar for them to swoop in and make a move. I don't think this year because they don't have enough of the assets, hence why they can't get into the Giannis sweepstakes. But in the future, if it's not Trae Young this summer, who I think the Atlanta Hawks may deal, and a lot of you guys say you don't want him because he's too small, and obviously the fit with Harden if he comes back doesn't make a lot of sense. But a lot of these guys are getting extensions. They're staying with their teams. You know, the dream was always Jason Tatum, but he got paid. He's not going to be available. And are you just going to have to wait and see and be opportunistic of who becomes available with these guys later on? Trade for Harden. I don't know why Atlanta would do that, though. If they're going to trade Trey, they're going to get back a pick or two and a young guy for the future. I don't know why they would do that for James Harden. And that would also have to mean Harden opts in first and then gets traded afterwards. That's just too unlikely. Yeah, he's a negative on the defensive end. The question is, can you cover for that enough? Again, I'm going to throw this out there because for all these people that think you can't have bad guys on defense and get away with it, well, the Clippers were just a top 5 defense this year while having Norman Powell and James Harden in the starting lineup. The Dallas Mavericks were a top 5 defense, or maybe the best defense after the trade deadline last year, with Luka and Kyrie in the starting lineup. There are ways to build around guys and their flaws on the defensive end to where you can hide them. It's not impossible. So I don't totally give up on the Trae Young thing, even though I do know, yes, that's where his flaws lie. Jonathan Ng is back. He took off the tinfoil hat and said, I think this Clippers team is better off staying the course, build a core of competent role players that would be attractive to a superstar unrestricted free agent. No need to get the roster to trade for a big man right now. I mean, what you could say is maybe what you want is the type of situation they had before they brought in Kawhi and PG, where they had Trez, where they had Pat Bev and Lou Williams, and some really good players that could be role players on a championship team. That was the idea. Do you build something like that? Scott said, imagine Trey trying to guard SGA. Cole said Spurs and Mavs got better. Clippers got to do something or continue to be in no man's land. What's your solution, Cole? Just doing something for the sake of doing something? Renee said Norm, Kobe, the 3 second-round picks for Austin Reaves, for Trey. Neither of those things would work. Himothy said Trey Young is too small. Look at Brunson in the playoffs. Teams are hunting him as surrounded around great 4 defenders. I don't think that's a great example. Brunson's been good. Their defense has been good. Look at Brunson. They're up 2-1 on Boston. What are you talking about? Clippers couldn't hide Norm in the playoffs. Again, the Dallas Mavericks, what do you mean? They weren't able to hide Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving to get to the NBA Finals? They were. It can be done in the playoffs. I've seen it. Where's that sound coming from? Anybody else hear that? All right, I think I found it. Am I going crazy? Are my new headphones working too well? I'm picking up sound from next door. How do I feel about Kuminga? He's a restricted free agent. They can match. You're probably going to have to pay him 150 plus million. I don't know about. I like Kuminga, but that's a lot for a guy who's pretty unproven. Some of it's not his fault. Steve Kerr, Golden State, they don't seem to believe in him enough. Do Kobe Brown and Jordan Miller look like they'll stick as productive NBA players? No, they're both unknowns right now. They both need to get some run next season to find that out. Again, Himothy moving the goalposts. Like, I was told by Clippers fans over and over again that Luka and Kyrie are food on the defensive end before that series started. RB said when the Clips got eliminated, I mentioned trading for Trey Young for Powell. Adam said it's stupid because Hawks won't fall for it. Adam's right. Why would they do that? Trey Young's better than Norman Powell, and Norman Powell's also older. So yeah, there's a reason I said that. Andrew said, Adam, do you think with more time with current roster that this Clips team can be more cohesive? Sure. I don't see why not. I've watched Trey Young plenty. I know his deficiencies. Again, I'm going to bring up the same question. Is he the best you're going to be able to get? Beggars can't be choosers. Say, oh, we don't want Trey. Who are you going to get? Who's the guy? Who's the next face of the franchise? Because superstars rarely become free agents anymore. So all that money you have to play with under the cap in 2026 and 2027 isn't much use for bringing in a top flight guy since they rarely become free agents. MKXLNT said find a way to turn Eubanks into Steven Adams. Okay, so we're just not being serious here. I was the one arguing that Kyrie and Luka are better defenders than you think. Everyone else was telling me they're food. And I said, then how are they have the number one defense post trade deadline? the Dallas Mavericks heading into that series against the Clippers in 2024. But they are still liabilities at times, certainly defensively. And that's two guys on the floor that are non-defenders. What if you have four defenders in Trey? Can you compensate for his lack of defense? Oh my goodness. Jason Tatum dropping bombs from distance. Jonathan Inks said Luka is a solid post defender. He's just terrible guarding in space on pick and rolls. And he doesn't look to be getting any better. But again, Dallas had the number one defensive rating over a 20-game period leading into the playoffs, and they were great in the playoffs defensively. The Clippers did not lose that game because Dallas outshot them. They lost it because they couldn't score on Dallas in 2024. I'm just wondering, what are your guys' ideas if it's not Trae Young? Who are you going to be able to get? Are you just going to sit patiently, which doesn't seem to be the case by people in here saying, we got to do something. San Antonio and Dallas are getting better. You're going to sit patiently and wait for a disgruntled star for the Clippers to make a move for? Is that the plan? Well, go look what they shot in that series. They lost because of their offense. They weren't good enough, and Dallas' defense was very good. G. Damari said, if we was to deal Norm for a power forward, do you think Bogey would start and Miller will have a good shot to be a sixth man this year, or at least get more playing time? Well, not if the power forward ends up just bumping everyone else down. If the power forward starts, then it's Zoo, the power forward, Kawhi, Dunn, and Harden, or DJ and Harden, I think still. Maybe Bogey, but I wouldn't go that route. Timothy said, why don't we just take the Knicks route and look at data for a player that wants a bigger opportunity in ball usage? I gave up 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. That's the Jonathan Kuminga argument. He has all this untapped potential. You bring him in, give him a larger role with your team, put the right guys around him. You believe in him. Warriors didn't, and you get a star. Robert said, I'd rather sit patiently than cash in my chips on Trae Young. Okay, fair. At least you have a solution. Timothy said Brunson was coming off the bench for Mavs the year before he joined the Knicks. Yes, and remember when the Knicks gave him that deal, everybody said it was an overpay. Like, the Knicks knew something nobody else did. Goofy said, bro just came back from work and saw Cooper as a Maverick. Alternate timeline. We're in, I swear. Miles Johnson said, with Flag probably ending up in Dallas, how much would you be willing to trade for PJ Washington if he became available, Adam? I mean, I like PJ. I like him a lot. Let's see what his contract is. That would be the ideal power forward. Not ideal, but he'd be a good one. So this is the last year of him making $14 million. So he's going to be an unrestricted free agent after this year. So problem is you bring in PJ and you might lose him after this year, but you're going to have money to play with. So you could re-sign him after this season. What did he end up shooting from for free this season, PJ? I want to check on that. And he shot 38% on 4 attempts per game. He's a career 36% three-point shooter. He's still just 26, 27. Yeah, what would I be willing to give up? I'd give up Norm for PJ, and I love Norm. Torrance said Norm, Zoo, and DJ for Giannis. One of those guys I don't think they care enough about in Norm because he wouldn't fit in their timeline. Even Zoo's going to be 29 by the end of next season. I don't think that's enough for Giannis. Miles Johnson sees the vision with PJ. We ain't talking about PJ Tucker. We're talking about PJ Washington. Yeah, Eubanks is a free agent. Mark Stein reported that I think he's assuming if Harden comes back, the Clippers would have like $14 million to play with. That's with a non-taxpayer mid-level exception. Because if Harden didn't come back, they'd have like $50 million maybe to play with. Yeah, I could see this. This is interesting. The Dallas Mavericks could want Norm to replace Kyrie for most of the season. It's not a bad thought, Miles. Robert said Brunson had some bad games, but the only reason he wasn't starting was Luka. Timothy said I'd take a swing at Kuminga. Warriors won't offer him the money he wants. He's 22. I don't think we would give up a lot to get someone with that potential. But are they even going to have enough money to offer? Because if he becomes a restricted free agent, he's going to get at least $100 million offer. So $20 million a year. Clippers wouldn't. They'd be over the first apron if they brought back Harden and then added Kuminga. So that's problematic. I don't know if they could do a sign and trade with Golden State. Get him that way. I'll bring on Eric Pincus, capologist for the people, at some point. Goofy said, is PJ Washington coming for the right trade, or is there bad blood because the Terrence scuffle? LOL. Probably a good sign DJ was buddies with him. Yeah, I don't think there'd be an issue there. Yeah, PJ Washington, that's what he's making. He's in the final year of his deal at 14.9. Yeah, Tim A said what I just said. Kuminga would have to be a sign and trade. They can do a sign and trade. They're under the first apron. Of course they can. DJ, Derek Jones Jr. is under contract. Yeah. Jonathan Ing said Norm plus 1 or 2 seconds for PJ Washington, Dwight Powell. I like that. I'd do it. I don't think it's crazy. Maybe they can get more, but everybody knows if you're going to bring in PJ Washington, he could be a rental. The Clippers' advantage would be we're going to bring you in and we're going to have money to sign you in 2026. Don't worry about that. And he's still going to be very young. That's what we're saying, Robert. The Mavs may not need PJ Washington anymore, but they do like defense. We're talking about Nico Harrison here. Yeah, Dwight Powell is serviceable, the backup center, I suppose. He hasn't been the same ever since the Achilles, but if Powell opts in, what do you mean? Goofy said, I'm sorry I'm late, but does this lottery have any effect on the Clippers? LOL, since I'm seeing that the Mavs are options now. There's too many Powells involved in this trade. Like San Antonio already was in a great spot. Now they could go get Giannis. Dallas was they weren't in a great spot, but getting the number one pick puts them in a great spot now. That's a problem. Those two teams got better today, and they're both in the West. No, I think they could have interest in Norman Powell. I think that'd be a good fit for Dallas. Mavs fans always wondered why he hasn't been traded. Miles Johnson likes the Kawhi PJ Zoo front court. What's not to like? The thing is, PJ isn't. He had a good shooting year, but he's not a confirmed great shooter at the four. I don't know if I want to do PJ for Derek Jones Jr. Robert said San Antonio and Dallas are going to be effing good next year. It's all about health. But yeah, San Antonio was already in a great spot. Now Dallas is in a great spot, actually. They lucked into it, getting the number one pick. They're back up. It's scary. I don't love this. Renee said, say James Harden resigns. Does he pick up his player option and sign a new deal, or straight up declines and signs a new contract? I'm pretty sure he'd sign a new contract, become a free agent, sign a new contract. And it would have to be 2 years. I don't think they're going past 2 years with him. They'd line it up with Kawhi's deal. So that could get sticky. That could get interesting. Miss Shakes is in here saying we need role players that can shoot. Goofy's in here saying the main problem I've seen from PJ is that he's inconsistent from three. He is. He nuked OKC in the second round last year. Where did he end up shooting from three in the playoffs last year? Because he's coming off a career year in the regular season this season from three. PJ Washington at 38%. What did he shoot last year in the playoffs? He shot. Yeah. He shot 35% from three, but he shot 47% from three against OKC. Outside of that, he shot just 31% from three against the Clippers in the first round. Then he shoots 47% against OKC. Then he shoots 25% against Minnesota and 27% against Boston. So that 35% total shooting from three in 4 playoff series last season, it's heavily weighted off the fact that he shot 47% against OKC in the second round. And we're talking 23 of 49. So it's not even 50 shots. So that's why I say I don't know if he's perfect. Miss Shake said, I think we should go after Jordan Poole. We need someone young with shooting ability. Well, Jordan Poole's interesting. Miles Johnson says, we say this every year, but with Flag coming and Giannis probably coming out west as well, this conference is going to be an absolute bloodbath. Yeah, might be tougher to get to 50 wins, even if you have Kawhi for 50-plus games. Terry said, Aaron Gordon was not shooting three well, but he improved every year and became a good shooter. True. Goofy said, saw on Twitter that knowing Nico, he'll pick Ace Bailey. And Nico Harrison could fall in love with somebody else in the draft and not take Cooper Flag. But they're in a great spot. They are. And it's scary. Because two teams that already have a lot of talent, a lot of assets, got the first and second pick in the draft. Dallas with the first pick, San Antonio with the second pick. Yeah, that's what I was saying. 26, 27, he can get better. Like I would do it for Norm. Tim A said, I think Norm for PJ is an overpay. The Clippers can't afford to giving up any more shooting. Derek Jones Jr. makes sense in my opinion. How about get better defensively though as well, even better. Like get the shooting from somewhere else. All you guys have wanted this 4 for so long to slide Kawhi to the 3, but now it's an overpay. Miles Johnson said the only for sure bad team in the West next year is Utah. Everyone else is going to be fighting. Terry said if we have a chance to get a 26-year-old wing, I will do it. Yeah, you have to. Renee said Giannis in San Antonio sounds like a perfect marriage to go get rings. Why not? Jonathan Ing says trading Norm for PJ makes the team better balanced. I wouldn't mind strengthening a strength. Find the shooting a different way by getting a better backup point guard. That's what I would do. That's what I would like is the replacement for Norm. Somebody that can shoot it, but also be a legit playmaker. Now, Bogey has some of those things, but he doesn't do it enough at a high enough level, I think. Goofy said, I'm pissed about the Spurs and Mavs succeeding in the lottery, but the Sixers keeping their pick is ridiculous. They failed upwards, like Nico. BK said, y'all forgot Norm was a borderline all-star this year. PJ for Norm would be an overpay for the Clippers. BK, y'all are forgetting that Norm is going to be an unrestricted free agent after this year. He's extension eligible. I don't know. It may be hard to find the right deal to keep Norm long term, who's what, 32 now? 31. Oh, he's about to turn 32 in a week. I just don't know if they're on the same timeline because Norm should get paid. He should get a 3-year extension or a 4-year deal or something and cash in on the year he had. Zoo will be 29 summer of 2026. I love Norm. I don't want to lose Norm. You obviously, though, see the deficiencies in the playoffs. And if you can get that 4 that's that young in PJ Washington, I think you have to do it. I don't know if they'd give up Suggs for Norm. I think that's interesting. I like him. He's coming off. What was the injury he ended up having that shut him down for the season? That was ACL, right? Cartilage fragment in his knee. He had arthroscopic surgery to remove cartilage fragments. Like, a little bit scary. A trochlea cartilage injury in his left knee. That's unique. Don't get me wrong. I like him. I do. I don't know if Orlando would do that. They do need offense. I'm not saying they would have interest in Norm. I just don't know if Jalen Suggs would be the guy. Terry said PJ Washington will be a free agent after next season. I don't think Dallas will ask a lot for trading for him. Maybe a rotation player and 2 second-round picks. That's the thing. The Clippers will have the money to re-sign him. Tim A said, my concern is that Kawhi will miss time. Norm fills in better than PJ would. Norm has his own injury concerns as well. Every season but one, Norm's missed 20 games at least with the Clippers. So him filling in better, but if he's hurt, that's not happening. Robert said, how about trading a couple of minor chips for Jakob Pertl, who's going to be an unrestricted free agent next June? I like Jakob Pertl. I mean, that would be somewhat of an improvement. Goofy said maybe Cole Anthony or Suggs and a first for Norm, since Orlando has so freaking many. We could even get Silva, since Orlando seems to be not be doing much with him. That's asking a lot. I don't know if you can get that much. Renee said, please, no more injury prone players. I don't know if Jalen Suggs could be labeled injury prone. I guess he can. Yeah, he's definitely missed some games in his career, not just this season. That's fair. Adam, do you think the Clippers are 100% going to have Kawhi next year? 100%? I don't think anything's 100%. I don't think anybody is fully off limits with this Clippers team. For instance, if the right trade package came along, I think they'd think about it. I don't know how likely that is. I think it's pretty unlikely, but it's possible. So I can't say 100% about anybody. But it might be 90, 95, 97, 98. It's very likely they'll still have Kawhi. Who's trading for him? What would they give up that would still make the Clippers competitive? Zubats is as close as you can get to off limits, but I still don't think anybody should be off limits, even Zoo. Don't get me wrong, you know how much I love Big Zoo. But should anybody really be off limits fully? I don't think so. But it sounds like most likely thing that's going to happen is they run it back and they improve along the margins. And maybe that's good enough to still be very competitive. With how good Denver has looked in the second round, and it's starting to make me think differently about the Clippers and how good they were, or how far away they were, really. What if Denver goes to the conference finals? What if they go to the NBA finals? I kind of did the last show about that, but wouldn't that change your perception of the Clippers losing to them in 7 if they got to the conference finals or the NBA finals? Even just pushing OKC the way they are. Looking at OKC being that gassed in Denver, it's like, well, it's a little bit more understandable that an older team in the Clippers would be that tired too. If OKC can get tired there, come on. Terry said Zoo is untouchable unless we get Jokic or Giannis level of player. Yeah, you're probably right there. Goofy said, how can we get Reaves if the Lakers are looking for a center? What's the right package then? I don't know. Maybe it's a 3-way trade. Trolley said Zoo's fantastic, but his value is sky high right now. I would consider trading him. For what? Planet 619 said nobody should be off limits. Timothy said, I feel Jamal on Twitter has been hinting that Kawhi could leave. He was hinting around San Antonio or him going back there. Like, how likely is that now? They might get Giannis. Robert said, after watching Luka get traded, you're right, Adam. Nobody's untouchable. Joe said Zubac should be off limits unless he's needed to get Giannis. Sergio said Kawhi to Houston, Ratari Eason, Jabari Smith Jr., and Van Vliet or Jalen Green. I mean, we've talked about that before. Houston is a team that I could see being interested in him. They have a lot of young talent. They didn't get out of the first round. Granted, they lost in 7 to Golden State, so there's not a lot of shame in that, right? They didn't go 7. They could run it back, stick with the process of building with the young guys, but they have a lot of them. And I think Houston could have some type of consolidation coming. The comic stand Los Angeles said, I think Clips need a natural power forward. That's what killed us against Denver. Thing is, you don't want to overreact to just losing to one team. It's like then you have holes against other teams. Aaron Gordon is just having a hell of a playoff series run, and he's a hell of a player. I trust Jamal, but we'll see. But Jamal didn't say anything close to anything definitively about Kawhi. Like, I don't think. I don't know. Maybe Jamal is the next Shamshrania, but I don't think that's the case right now, guys. Jonathan Inks said Zoo getting traded would be fine if we recoup a couple of first-round picks. If this team decides to blow it up, the blow up would happen with first Harden deciding to leave, then why is Kawhi here? Then you're going, well, should we trade Zubats too while his value is this high? That's kind of the domino effect of how that would go. Yeah, people talking about Booker to Houston, maybe so. Goofy said Kawhi hasn't been mentioned in either a yes or no for Houston. They did say they're not wanting Booker as much, which is weird. Who said that? It's all just Houston hadn't come out and said that. Ime came out and said that. No, it's all just rumors and scuttlebutt. It doesn't mean much to me. There's a ton to be decided, including what happens now with two teams at the top of the draft wanting to win now and maybe dealing those picks in San Antonio and Dallas. But if San Antonio wants Giannis, they're getting Giannis. If Dallas wants Giannis, we're probably getting Giannis. That'd be an interesting pairing with him and AD, though. I don't know if they'd look to Boogie Cousins and like the 12 amazing games they had together right before Cousins tore his Achilles. Clippers don't have their own first round pick. They have a pick swap with OKC, so the 30th pick. Miles Johnson said, I like that point you made, Adam. Aaron Gordon did present major issues for this team, but overreacting could make matchups a lot worse. I'm fine with getting a 4, but you have to get one that can shoot because you're going to be playing next to these Zubats who's not going to be able to shoot, at least from what we've seen so far. Rumors on NBA Central. Who cares? Who cares? You realize these people have to afford things to keep their jobs and to keep interest and engagement up. Robert said for San Antonio to re-get Giannis, they'd have to include Stephon Castle in the trade, probably. But it's Giannis. That's best case scenario, I think, for Milwaukee. I love Stephon Castle. If you can find a way to get him in a first round pick for Giannis, maybe Devin Vassell too, I'd be okay with that. Miles Johnson said Giannis and Wemby would be terrifying, but really fun. Alex Webb said, what about Derek White? Think the Celtics look to trade their expensive roster? If they come up short, maybe. But I think they're going to try to keep it going if they end up winning the championship, right? Robert said most rumors are worth what people paid for them. Nothing. There's a lot of people trying to stay relevant. Doesn't mean the information is bad, but just so many things can change. What is it really worth right now? So many situations can still change. So I'm watching Boston up 9 with 2 minutes left. Looking to tie this series up. What's Tatum? Oh, Tatum missed it, but tip in by Porzingis. What does Tatum have in this game? I I just don't know. Like there was a point where like SGA, Luca, Jason Tatum could all become available in 2027. None of these guys are going to become available as free agents. None of them. Tatum because he already got the extension. Luca's going to get his. Like they're all going to be like it. To get the big star, you have to trade. No team is dumb enough to lose these guys for nothing anymore. The only reason the Clippers lost Paul George for quote unquote nothing is because it got him the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. It got him Nico. It got him DJ. It got him under the first apron. It got him Chris Dunn. So in essence, they were trading. The trade-off of losing him for nothing enabled them all these other options. He's 34. Nobody's doing that. If Paul George was 28, 29, or 30, that's not happening. The CBA has changed things. It's tougher now. Less free agents because of the aprons. Yeah, Miles Johnson said it. Teams are never going to let those type of players walk ever. So the question is, do you go out and even if you have to get what's a lesser player, let's say Trae Young, that's a tier or two below those guys, do you do it to be competitive and still be a sought after destination for getting the next guy through trade? This whole idea of we have to build our team perfectly with just the perfect guys, you may not have that option. You can wait around for stars to become disgruntled and be like John Lovitz behind the curtain, and I'm reaping the benefits. In Wedding Singer and just wait, or you can get lesser guys in, stay competitive, build that way. That's what I just said. That wouldn't have happened with Paul George if he wasn't 34 now. What's this Rachel Nichols point? I was listening to her and Mannix the other day talk about the Clippers. So I got nothing. She said, I get it that the draft lottery was instituted to discourage tanking, but the problem is that the way the CBA is now structured, the only real way teams can recover from a bad situation is to strip it all down, tank, and start over again in the draft. I mean, I don't think that is the only way. I think the Clippers are showing. She also went on to say, all the Lucas stuff aside, the team that will draft Cooper Flagg already has 3 future Hall of Famers on it. The team picking number 2 already has a generational player in Wemby and the reigning Rookie of the Year. This isn't the route to competitive balance. That's true, but I'm not. Well, it's one draft that happened this way that happened to benefit teams like Dallas and San Antonio. San Antonio had the blood clot issue with Wemby, had De'Aaron Fox have his fingers broken. They knew that when they brought him in. It's kind of a unique situation for how they ended up getting to this point where they could get the number 2 pick. To act like this is just going to happen every draft now and the system's broken, I don't think that's true. Also, I don't think it's true that the only way is to strip it all down and to rebuild. Like, I think the Clippers are going to prove otherwise. I think what it is getting under the first apron is going to look much more appealing for teams. They're going to see that that opens up a lot more possibilities for you. And I think the Clippers were ahead of the curve there. Nope. Save the tradables for Jaren Jackson, unrestricted free agent in 2026. He's not going to be an unrestricted free agent. He's going to be on a new contract. Like that's the thing. No one's letting these guys just go for nothing. If they do, it should tell you there's a major warning sign, like the Clippers letting Paul George go for nothing. They're not going to lose him for nothing, guys. It is a mirage that all these guys, when you look at possible free agents, are actually going to be free agents. That's not true. Triple J is owed $23 million this year. He's extension eligible. He's going to get the extension. I think there's a misconception, a pretty big one here. Robert underscores it that, oh, this guy's going to be a free agent at this time. Teams aren't going to let that happen. I do think it's unique to Philly. Their team wasn't supposed to be this bad this year. No one thought things were going to go this miserably. These are all pretty unique situations. No one thought Luka was going to be traded from Dallas. These are all really unique situations that are happen to be occurring in the same year. That's not the system is broken. It's time to panic. Yeah, like they force their hand to go to a certain place. This free agency thing, I'm telling you, it's not the same as it used to be. You're going to have to trade for stars. Miles Johnson said, I do think there needs to be a talent realignment, though. The East is a joke, and these generational draft picks keep heading west. Zion, Wemby, Flag, etc. League is becoming very unbalanced. Eastern Conference owners are never going to vote to just go by record 1 through 16 for the playoffs. They won't. I agree. It's been unbalanced since fucking 1999. The West has been significantly better, top to bottom. Significantly. We're talking 25 years of this. Would I take a chance on Zion? For who? What's the trade? I need to look at his contract again because he got $200 million. How many more years is it? It's 3 more years. 39 million, 42 million, 44 million. Probably not because it's going to eat into their cap room. I don't know. Just another guy, you're going to bring in somebody that's this injury prone. The potential of Zion is fascinating, is intriguing, but is it ever going to be realized? Miles Johnson said, I like the Pacers, but they're about to be back-to-back conference finalists. If they played in the West, are they making it out of round one? That's why I don't go off of just, the Clippers lost in round one again. This isn't progress. They're not getting any further. The number 2 and number 3 seeds lost in the West in round one. Round one in the West is like effing conference matchups in the East, or at least second round matchups for sure. They're that competitive, round one in the West. Planet 619 said, I was just about to say the West have been better for a quarter of a century at least. This isn't some new phenomenon. Yeah, and Eastern Conference owners would have to vote to merge East and West and just go 1 through 16. And why would they ever do that? They have no incentive to do that. They have an easier path to get to the playoffs with their teams and franchises. They're never going to do it. Link said, ain't no way Dallas got the first pick. This is like a cinema. Jonathan Inks said the league would never do this with the East being as top heavy as it is record wise. The playoffs should just take the 16 teams. Again, they're not going to do it. I've already said it like 3 times. Goofy said Zion eating into cap room. Poor choice of words. Link said, who's Austin we're talking here? Austin Reaves, man. Max Vegas said, we're back. We're back. I think I'm good here. It's been an hour and 40 minutes. We went live. We covered the draft. I know you said the same thing, but it's like I already said it twice, and even you're saying it in that very thing. It's like we all know, Jonathan, they should do it that way. They never will. It's not even worth bringing up anymore. Oh, yeah. Half of the East was tanking, and they didn't get them. It's crazy, man. The West got tougher. Things got tougher today for the Clippers, unfortunately. That's just a fact. Tomorrow could change things. Who knows? Thanks, Robert. Yeah, there's a lot of mid teams in the East. Goofy said, Adam, do you still believe Reeves being better than Booker since the lackluster playoff performance? I think Reeves is cool still, though, but Booker is better. Come on. I'm sticking with my hot take. I'm riding with it. Reeves had a better year than Booker. Booker didn't have a chance to have a bad playoff series. Even with him and KD playing 60 games or whatever, they didn't even make the playoffs. I saw plenty of Reeves either with only one of Luka LeBron shine and then without both of them shining games. He had a phenomenal year, a bad playoff run. A lot of Lakers did. I've seen him be really good in the playoffs. He's had overall, he's looked like a playoff riser until this year. I wouldn't give up on him. And look, I like Booker. It's definitely a hot take. We'll see how it ages. Hell, if the Clippers got Devin Booker or something, I'd be like, let's go. Let's go. But I like him and Austin Reaves. There's plenty denying it. Go watch the draft lottery and how it's actually done. Anybody that is saying it's rigged doesn't actually know how the draft lottery works. Period. I'm sorry, your draft lottery casuals. It's combinations of numbers. How do you rig all that? It's not happening, guys. It's not. You can say all you want, but you can't. What you can't do is actually find a way to rig it. That's the point. I don't know. Booker, the book is still out on who he is. I thought he was on a trajectory at one point where I was like, Booker's an absolute dog. He's a killer. When he was dropping 40 against the Lakers in that first round series in 2021, I mean, I thought the world of Devin Booker. But the last couple of years, it's just like, what's going on here? Thing is, James Harden is going to be 36 this season. So if you can get Trae Young or Austin Reaves, I'm not hating on that move for the future. I'm not saying, oh, we can't do it because James Harden. It's like, well, James Harden is getting older. And if you have Austin Reaves coming off the bench, all right, guys, enjoy the conspiracies or just look at how the draft lottery is run. Make sure to tell me in the comment section how they possibly could rig that complicated of a format and a system. I'm Adam Osland. This has been another edition of Clippers Talk. Be good, y'all.